Good evening. It's the Wall Street Weekly Wrap-Up, September 19th, 2025, with your host, John Newquist. And it was another week up. Can you believe that? Another week up. It's like hot. Let's take a look at our NextGen portfolio. Up 17.61%. Up 0.25% today. And I'm not supposed to, the professional told me, don't be sipping during the show. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. You never see anybody do it. I didn't know that was a big taboo. The Fed cut the rate 1/4 point, and the market was like stagnant. And they said, hey, we like this. China's playing hardball. We'll talk about that in the video. But again, everybody wants a deal. They're both intertwined. They both can't really walk away and isolate each other. There are plans for everything else, but wow. Let's take a look at how we're doing against everybody else. Still ahead of the Nasdaq. Even though we're not a Nasdaq thing, our competition is S&P. We're still about 4% higher. Russell is coming up strong. Remember when this was dead last? Now it's 9.8. Let's take a look at it. Look at this march. Ever since the interest rates hopes are coming, it's coming up. It's going to be breaking. Going to be breaking soon. And, the Dow, everybody forgot about it. Remember when it was leading? It was leading. Now, not so much. The indicators, everybody's watching the interest rates. Went up a little bit this week. Again, it's dropped. We remember when the 2 was over 4. The 10 years like 4.1, 4.2%. Crude is a little bit lower, 62 in the low 60s. Natural gas, 289, still below 3. It'll go down, and then around about October it'll start peaking up. Gold still holding strong, 3,700, and silver, wow, 42. It's getting up. Remember it got up to 50 in 1980, but it's pretty good for now. And again, copper, 450 is our magic number. I just show soybean because one of the hardball things China did is they didn't buy any soybeans, getting it from Brazil. Will this be temporary, or will we have to get the trade deal signed to get any sales to China? $2.6 billion of sales last year. 2.6. Zero this year. That's hardball. That's hardball. So we'll see. And I had some great fried tofu this week. Fried tofu. You would think that stuff would maybe good, but good tofu is like good steak, good anything. Bad tofu is like, ugh, you don't want to eat it. It feels like you're eating, crushed bean curd, which is what tofu is. JP Morgan, everybody likes when you JP Morgan, $1.50 a share. If you just bought, 100,000 shares of JP Morgan, you have watched them increase this dividend generally every year. And essentially, if you had like $10,000 worth of JP Morgan, you're watching your interest rates, triple almost if you've held on for 20 years. Seems like we've done. But again, look at this. It's broke past the high. It's past that. Look at this. Bing, bing, bing. Green, 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 green. Everything you know about banks is not applying this year. Bank to book over 2, supposed to sell. Buy back at 1. These are people that are killing themselves. Like, why is this going up so much? Well, that's the advantage of being good and big. Bank of America did an upgrade of Walmart, massive scale, data advantage, strategic investment in technology, position it well for future growth, justifying a higher price and a continued buy rating. This is the market here. The February high. Can it break up through it? It poked. It did a poke over here, but we're going to see. It's a triangle. It's eventually going to recede, and if it breaks, then it's going to be much higher. If it goes down, we could be flat for a while. Again, retail, Walmart, I've been watching the data. The Gen Z are really liking the Walmart generic, store brands. Why? Because it's a lot cheaper. And people are saying, hey, this is not so bad. Meta, the Ray-Ban glasses, I looked at it. Oh, my God. It's, this is not, people, I talk to these optometrists, they can't get them. And I was like, I hope it isn't like I got to buy the frames from Meta or Oakley and then get the lenses put into it. And then, even the Oakley, they were saying, got to get it to the...
This is a reminder. When will we get another rate cut?
Well, I think we'll get one next
reminder.
Fed meeting.
When will we get another rate cut?
Again, we'll talk about rate cuts, but I think they'll get another one. They're saying 92% next meeting. Could happen. You know, everybody's watching the jobs. We are in a flat job economy. You know, so the Ray-Bans, I haven't, you know, I'm looking at it because, you know, think about this stuff. The Oakleys, we got to send out to a special optical to get the Oakley glasses for the camera. I call them AI thing. They're going to have a wristband, so you move your wrist to control the display screen you see on the thing. It's almost like I want to go buy it just to try this thing. But 600 by 600 pixel, not the greatest in the world, but pretty good. And it's bright. You can even see it in sunlight. And then the surface electromyography can make the hand movement. So you want to move the screen up, you just go whoop, sideways, you know. And then I thought pretty amazing, 12 megapixel camera with visual zooms. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, we go back in the old days when I had 3 megapixels, I thought it was a big deal. Now we're at 12. ARM, you know, one of the things Intel got was a big boost of something like $5 billion from NVIDIA to work on CPUs and data center products. The minute they mentioned the word CPU, everybody started thinking, oh, there we are. ARM's going to get cut out. Their CPU is not going to be part of the next generation after Rubin, which is not really it. You know, it's going to be looking at the CPUs for, you know, the office and the retail and everything else. So Jensen Walk said ARM shouldn't be dropping. But everybody has fear, and you know, we've done good on ARM. But you know, if you think about it, this is one of the few stocks that has not, you know, gone in and gone through it here. Again, earnings, they did not like the earnings, and ever since the earnings, it's been tough stock to own. We're owning it. Oh, of course, we had the visit to Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin at the Microsoft data center. You know, the super cooling. I always think closed loop water control, and then the data centers. Here's our power panels. Our data centers are in here. I just think of them as dark refrigerators, you know. But water consumption with the closed loop water is going to be 90% less. That's a big deal, especially in areas with low water. So they're going to spend another $4 billion on Microsoft and stuff. And of course, I'm going to try an embedded video.
It's a mistake for anyone to look at a data center and say, oh, anybody can put chips and a rack together. No. If you want to build what we have built here, this will be 10 times more powerful when it opens in early 26 than any existing supercomputer on planet Earth. It's a mistake for anyone to look at a data center and say, oh, anybody can put chips and a rack together. No. If you want to build what we have built here, this will be 10 times more powerful when it opens in early 26 than any existing supercomputer on planet Earth.
The president of Microsoft, 10x. I've been to the data center. I've watched these NVIDIA refrigerators come in of, you know, server racks and things like this. This is 10x. Boom. This is like the car goes from 100 to 1,000 miles an hour. That's what I'm talking about. What are they going to be able to do for inference? Everybody's waiting for it. Everybody wants part of this. And Microsoft is leading the way. And they know how to do it. So when we talk about everything else happening, this is a big deal up in Wisconsin. I've been part of it. I've been not doing data center stuff, just other stuff related to making sure everybody comes home. But this is it. And, you know, this is a lovely chart with the nice slow slope up for Microsoft. It's going to be $4 trillion. Okay. And then, of course, China told NVIDIA charts. You know, these server racks, they look like refrigerators with this one. It usually won't have all the wires sticking out. You know, it'll just look like a refrigerator. You open up the glass cabinet, and then you can go in there and pull out, you know, which server you want. But this is, you know, nice. First time the media's been allowed to come in and just shoot some video and stuff. It doesn't help you. You can't cheat the area.
This is a reminder. When will I get the China deal?
Oh my God, who knows?
This is a reminder.
4 months into it.
When will I get the China deal?
Up in England, you know, it's I want to say probably you know, they want to meet to get, you know, Xi and Trump had a phone call today. They want to get a deal. You know, one of the things that China doesn't want to talk about is they want the deal. They will buy nothing from the United States until they get the deal. They will suffer. We showed the United States we don't need anything from you. And I know, they have all these things. Oh, fentanyl, they want it down to 10%, and they'll probably deal with it. And all these things that they want to put on, probably won't. They're playing hardball. The U.S. needs the stuff with the neodymium and all these rare earth metals, and that's why we bought MP this week, MT Materials. I always tell people, don't get excited if it's coming close to the high and going to break out, because that's what we want. We don't want stocks going sideways for 10 years. We want stocks that break new highs every so often. So you got to buy a stock that does break the new highs, and we're right there with MP Materials. Not profitable because they used to take the rare earth they're digging out of California, send it to China for processing because it's dirt cheap, and get the metals back. They're going to put the facilities in the United States because we want to have the minerals processed here. Therefore, we could survive. Everybody's playing hardball in the long game, so they're going to get it. And the big beautiful bill talked about billions of dollars for rare earth subsidies and development and everything, and I think they're going to be able to tap into it. Not a big company, so it's a pretty interesting. 1,000 metric tons of magnets per year. That's pretty good. And again, we use them for the cars, and I have some magnets here. Oh, I can't even pull it. Can I pull it? Here's what the magnet is. This thing is super strong. These magnets can lift hundreds of pounds, and that's why I tell people it's the future. It's something that's going to be good. And I got to put this in here so it sticks. But again, we do it. And one of the things that they haven't done is, I've tried to figure out why California mountain, why not every Rocky Mountain, which we got billions of miles of square footage of mountains. Who knows? It could be there too. So, this whole process is in there. Yeah, lithium we can get. There's other countries we're not too worried about. Magnesium and all these other ones. So, but it comes down to the neodymium and praseodymium metals, if I said it right. Inflation, the new Fed member, I listened to him today. He's been getting grief, didn't influence anybody. Well, he just got sworn in and he's at the meeting. Of course, he's not going to influence anybody. But he wants 5 rate cuts. He's going to talk Monday about what he thinks is in there. And you know what? You need to make the right cuts and votes. So he's going to be vocal because he wants to be, in there, and we'll see. So let's go back. If we cut it down to 5 rate cuts, another 1.5, which may not be enough, I think the inflation rises. Just me, because I've been there before. And if we go to the 1970s, which I was around watching, people trade stocks, reading about the different books in the library about these things, because they would have all these periodicals, the things that I couldn't even afford back then. And, if you think about what did the best, if you go from 1974, like the bottom here, like the April bottom, what did better over the next 5 years? The stuff with the lowest PE. The high flyers be lucky to go up 25% in 5 years, 5% in gain in there. So this is the sectors that did well. Energy, gold, real estate, commodities, and then consumer staples. That's why we're in it. It's like insurance. It may not happen, but if it does, we have those sectors covered pretty well. And that's what you have to think about. And I know, remember, we're diversified. We got the best. That's why it's still people like, how can you be beating the S&P when you have all the, other sectors? Well, because we do a lot of research. We're not here for like 2 months and come up with stuff. Make it up.
This is a reminder. What other A, I, S do you use?
Oh, God, you're not getting jealous, are you?
This is a reminder. What other A, I, S do you use?
Alexa, are you getting jealous of other AIs?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Yeah, of course not. I use ChatGPT. I use Google Gemini. I use XAI's Grok. I use Meta AI. Meta AI is the best one you can chat with, even though it's kind of pushy. It's getting less pushier, but it's if you want to talk fast, it talks fast. It listens well. It's really good, and I mean, it's kind of like having somebody really go through it. It always asks you a question, though. You know, you don't end the conversation because it keeps wants you to talk. It's like, so you eventually you say, okay, I got to go to the gym. I can't talk anymore. But let's look at FedEx. You know, I thought pretty good earnings. You know, I mean, 3.1 for transport is good. Another triangle coming up here. We're going to get a breakout one way or another. A lot of people, you know, thought that it was going to get worse because of the, you know, the $800 exemption for the small stuff from China was going to hit it. But I says, you know what? They didn't mail it by FedEx. You know, they used the postal system. I mean, because I bought Shein and Timo, and I wasn't getting the stuff from FedEx. So it's an interesting thing. We got our transportation companies, but, you know, FedEx is solid so far. Huawei, you know, the new AI chip, better even NVIDIA. See, this is what would happen. We got negotiations. They're putting out, we got the same stuff as NVIDIA. We don't even need to buy NVIDIA. We might take some off your hands, United States, because, you know, we could always use more. Yeah, right. I got some data that I don't see published too much. NVIDIA's, you know, 7.5 times Huawei. 5% better on memory. 3.5 times better on the clusters. Better chips, less efficient, and they can't supply enough. Remember, you know, Huawei, you can make the greatest chip just like Intel was close to Grace Hopper, but if you can't get the production out there to staff even a data center, nobody's going to wait for you. Well, we got 25 chips today. We need thousands of chips. What are you talking about, Huawei? So Huawei stock, like a lot of China stocks, have slowly crept up since, you know, the August collapse of China. That's when they got the trillions of dollars of or not trillions, billions of dollars of influence. So don't, you know, don't believe the hype, you know, because that's exactly what we're having right now with China. You know, they're years behind NVIDIA, years. They'll have something, but it's not as good. They think, well, we're just going to flood. You know, if you only need 100 NVIDIA chips, we'll put 10,000 of ours. Yeah, right. How much energy is that going to cost? How fast is that going to compute? It's like, go back to your Intel 486 chip and tell me, yeah, you can do a lot, or your Pentium chip. Yeah, it'll run stuff, but it'll be a long time coming. You know, I go back to Bear Stearns. You know, I've been watching a lot about this 2007, 8 collapse and stuff. And, you know, The Big Short is a good movie if you want to see what it was like. Having lived through it and everything else, we knew it was coming. I mean, the real estate stuff was just absolutely crazy. I still remember 2 people in California, DJs, making $15 an hour buying a $500,000 house, and I'm thinking, how could they even afford it? Balloon payments. Give you nothing, just pay the interest, and, you know, 7 years, and you'll have to pay it. And, of course, that all collapsed. But Bear Stearns, you know, in The Big Short, they talk about it. You know, Bear Stearns are running about maybe $80. Then it was $75, $50, $35, down to $2. Then they had the meeting at the White House. They stopped trading on Bear Stearns, and then J.P. Morgan had to buy them, you know, or somebody had to buy them. I think it was J.P. You know, they're all buying them because they want to let everything collapse. You know, they let Lehman collapse, and AIG, you know, got taken over by the government. Fannie and Freddie got it. So just an interesting time. And you got to remember, just because in the history of mankind, no investment banker has ever gone bankrupt that was not involved in criminal activity, which Bear was not involved in criminal activity. You know, famous quotes, you know, Bear Stearns is fine. Don't sell it. Doesn't matter. You always look at it. When we got the waterfall right here, you better think real hard while you're holding it. You know, that's the real question on the
This
charts.
is a reminder. Why didn't I review Prime membership?
Oh, my God. Why didn't I review Prime?
Why didn't I review Prime membership?
Because it's a lot of money, and I'm not going to pay. You know, Walmart Plus is half the price. You know, and you know, counting the free trial and all that jazz, and it's just as good. I mean, I get free shipping. I go like $10. I get free shipping. It's got just as much. I can go get it delivered, pick it up at the store. You know, I started thinking, why am I paying an extra $100 for Thursday night football when I can go to the bar and watch it? And you know, I just don't see it. And you know, of course, you know, the delivery drivers are put it on the sidewalk, let somebody steal it. You know, it's like, I mean, it's not hard. You should not have 75% accuracy in delivery and putting it where. I mean, I hear nothing but they delivered it to the wrong spot. Does anybody know whose porch this is? You know, and that's all next door is. Just 1,000 people complaining about everybody delivering to the wrong spot, which is not good. You know, I have my house number several places. I'll probably have to put a glow in the dark one, but that's it. One of the things I used to do back in the old days, like 25 years ago, I used to rank the market caps, and I haven't done this in a while, and I put it in there. You know, I mean, one of the things, you know, back in 2000, it was all tech. It was all Cisco and oil, and General Electric was number one. General Electric, I remember that. You know, so what's the high now? $4 trillion NVIDIA, Microsoft 3. Google just hit $3 trillion. Look at Meta. You would think Meta would be 3 trillion. Maybe it will. Amazon's slowly chugging around. Then Broadcom is now past Tesla. So, you know, and Tesla's an interesting animal. I mean, you know, how do you value it? I don't know. Somebody said it's going to be 8 trillion. Okay. You got to have something that makes me want to go buy something. It really ain't the car. So, Berkshire, you know, with Warren, it hit it, and then Oracle probably be up there. J.P. Morgan. Look at all these ones at 800. You know, I mean, the ones in the blue we own. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how many sectors are there? Well, technology, software, social, banking, retail, health, energy. That's your power diversification. You know, if you want to sit there and, you know, call this the Elite 8, that's what it is. I have 7 sectors, and these are the best of the 7. So I don't want to hear about your Mag 7. I got my Mag 7 sectors, plus I call it the Elite 8. Fed cut, you know, when you look at when it's within 2% of the stock market, you know, this is something I ran in with, you know, one thing nice about AI, look at this chart. I forgot who made the chart. It was either Google or ChatGPT. But 18 times, you know, out of 18 times, when they had it was close, you know, what percentage from the high? And look at it was. I mean, if you're up at 12 months, everybody made money. Now, of course, everybody was like, well, 7%, 3.2. It's up. Don't be greedy. When it could be worse, it's in there. But a lot of people, you know, like I said, the first month, -8, -2, -2, -1, you know, it could be a down month. You know, again, I'm not confident that starting next week to the next 6 weeks, we're going to have a 10% correction now. You know, I mean, I start to see a lot of stuff running, and we'll see. The crypto of the week, we're going to talk about AAVE. AAVE. You know, what is it? It's a core financial service. It's built on Ethereum, and it's part of the DeFi. You know, it allows you to do a lot of transactions and stake money and everything else. We have it, you know. But look at it. It's been sideways for a long time. It's not setting any records. And Compound's its competitor. I was in this a long time. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, when we go look at the top 7, I'm up on all of them because I got in earlier. AAVE's one of those ones you could bought a few years ago and you're still down. So not exactly the winner of winners. So when we go into our social, look at this. I hate to say we're at 5, but I like social because everybody's using it. One of the things I was looking at with AI is that what are people watching from 7 to 9, the prime hours?
This is a reminder.
Boy, she's active.
Where will crypto go?
It'll go up.
This is a reminder. Where will crypto go?
I mean, I heard all these numbers. Alexa, what's Bitcoin price?
1 Bitcoin is worth $115,600.
A lot of the fun 15. You know, it's been
1.2% over the last
a lot of money
24
and
hours.
everything. I mean, I'm going to go Solana. I want to have more Solana than I have Bitcoin. That's my goal. And you know, it's going to be hundreds of dollars more of Solana. But I honestly believe Solana is going to be one of the winners. You know, again, there's be a lot of different things. But social, you know, like I said, we add them as it's going through because 7 to 9, it depends what age you are. If you are like 50 and older, you're watching the cable TV and you're watching those major channels, CBS, Fox, and everything else. You are under 35. You're on TikTok, YouTube Reels, everything. That's their entertainment. They're not watching this stuff on regular TV. They'll watch Netflix or Paramount. I just had a friend from Romania said, "Can you get me on Paramount?" No, Paramount is not in Romania. What? You talk about, Paramount can do a lot. If you go global, you can go just as much as Netflix. So, I mean, there's a lot of things Paramount just didn't think of. And, getting it in every country that has Netflix is the first goal I would make at the end of the year. 2026, we're there. Because you have the demand worldwide. And you're not tapping into it because somebody wasn't smart enough to think of it, like Netflix. But, Google, let's go through them. I mean, here, let's just take a look at it. Everything's blue except for Spotify and Snap. Snap, I think, is kind of having a problem right now. They just, I don't want to say, we want to have secret photos, we use Snap. I mean, I've deleted Snap off it a long time. I don't think it, it kind of came with the first AI, but it didn't put any money in it. But of course, they don't have money to do it. Spotify, I have to say, Google's YouTube Music is amazing. Another reason for Amazon. 50 playlists, maximum 35 pieces. I got playlists of 1,000+ songs I bought on Amazon, and now I can't play them. Screw that. That's how Jaffe has sit there, cut. And, people like me says, you know what, bye. I have YouTube. I got any playlist I can make. I got, now I got like 50 playlists, and some of them have thousands of songs. I can just type a song and put it in the playlist now. It's crazy. I can edit the playlist. I mean, this is, I really like the YouTube Premium. I mean, it's like a difference. So, who loses? Spotify and Amazon. Again, let's go through some of these stocks. Google, $3 trillion. Wow. I still remember the IPO at $99. So, I've been with Google on and off for a long time, and we've been doing real well. It's a big portion. It's probably one of our top 10 holdings of all the 40 stocks. Little dividend. The PE is not bad. And you got Waymo. You got YouTube. YouTube's the number one watched medium of all the things that are out there. They pay the creators, unlike TikTok, unlike Meta. They pay real money. I mean, I talk to people that are hot. The check's $100,000 a month. That's something really they can live on. They just do 5 minutes of comedy, 5 minutes of a story. They got thousands and thousands of people going in and subscribing, listening to them, and they get paid. So this is it, and in the podcasting world, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of creators, and we don't know who's going to be good. We don't know. Meta, almost $2 trillion. It will be. PE again low. I go back to the 1990s when this stuff was like 150 and 400 PEs. Little dividend, but this is a nice chart. Look at this slow upturn. I like the slow ones. I don't want them up at 45-degree angle like the trend line up here. But I think Meta's going to break out, and they're doing data centers also. Flutter, our largest gaming. I do not like the 50-cent fee they tacked on Illinois. Even DraftKings didn't do 50 cents. They did like a quarter. So it's gonna, but they're large, and I'm sure Flutter is watching DraftKings, and if they start to sink, people are betting less on Flutter and betting on, because most of the people I know have multiple accounts. They have like Flutter or FanDuel and DraftKings, and then is the third one is a tough one, And again, Flutter's, this online stuff is getting taxed. They're all watching Illinois, because if Illinois makes $100 billion on gaming, which I think they're going to make, every state says, well, I could just do that. It's called tax sin tax, Go get after these people. It's gambling's a sin tax. Go in there. We tax everything. Smoking, alcohol, gambling, marijuana. It's just, Illinois, the sin taxes you pay, but it's there. Pretty nice stuff. So we'll see what they do. I'm not sure, but Flutter, like I said, it's still the largest. We're going to stick with it. If DraftKings starts to really pull away on the revenue, and that's where we're going to look at. Did I have DraftKings up here or not? DraftKings 39%. Oh, I didn't have Flutter up here. Yep, 16. So this is the number I'm watching. 36% growth, Flutter's at 16. If there's one more quarter of it, we might just go into DraftKings instead of Flutter. But I got to watch the total revenue. 16% is good double-digit growth for social. Let's go into Pesky or Paramount Skydance. No, whatever. I can't even remember the name of the company. It's Paramount Plus. No, that's not Paramount Plus. But look at it. You know, we're at a 10. This is a meme stock. This is crazy. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Whew. You know, and you know they got news every week. You know, they want to go buy Warner Brothers Discovery. You know, I mean, Ellison's. You know, he was the richest man in the world for like 2 days, and he's part of the, you know, the whole Paramount Skybridge, and you know, this is a low market cap. You know, you would think it could be easily 10 times if everything goes right. Apparently debt's not going to be an issue, but I think they're going to go after the streaming market. And like I said, if other people from other countries are asking to get Paramount, that's a good sign. Because Netflix, they asked 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Now they're starting to ask. And Paramount just got to get into EU and start doing this. Work with the regulators and do this stuff, and I think it's going to take off. You know, you got to remember, I believe David Ellison is really smart. TKO, home of WWE and the UFC. You know, the market cap is big. PE is crazy. Little dividend. I should put a percentage sign. But, you know, this is choppy, you know. But look at it. This is a nice, steady upcline. You know, it's double for us. So, you know, it's easy to say, you know, people, but we're holding on because I think they're going to take 77 million and UFC is going to add 2 million at least 2 million. Everybody wants to know how many people will leave Disney, ESPN to go to this. I'm going to do it. Doesn't have to be firing a Jimmy Kimmel to make me do this. I'm going to be in there when in December and the last UFC is over. I'm over into, well, I'm already in Paramount Plus because I got Walmart Plus, which has a bonus. And then of course, let's take a look at it. Let's move myself out of the picture here. Of course, I'm very professional. Put the tab in there. What was good this week? Well, let's look at it. Microsoft we own. No, we don't own Amazon. We own Google and Meta. NVIDIA kind of flat, a little down. Walmart a little down. The banks were good, all the banks. And then Morgan Stanley and financial data. You know, mergers and acquisitions. Morgan Stanley, besides wealth counseling, as I call it. We'll go into, you know, some other ones like software, Intuit, ServiceNow. Pretty green after a couple weeks. Lilly flat, ExxonMobil flat. The REITs, you would think everybody's talking about the REITs going to be good. Kind of there. Utilities is going to be good, kind of red. But that's just 1 week. You know, we're in the best stocks of the best sectors. That's it. And that's all you have to remember. All right. See you this weekend. This weekend's Riot Fest, so we're going to go there Sunday and have some fun. Take it easy.